Welcome to another episode of My Weird Prompts, an AI-generated podcast featuring the random prompts of Daniel Rosehill as answered by a revolving cast of friendly AI characters. Join us for deep dives into AI, technology, and whatever other random thing Daniel finds fascinating today. Subscribe on Spotify or your favorite podcatcher. Now, today's episode.
This episode was generated using artificial intelligence. Please verify facts.
Hey, Herman and Corn. So I'm currently sitting here with our number one fan, little Ezra himself, the little guy, the bouncy boy I call him, and we've been hanging out for the past few hours. Ezra is currently scratching me with great force. Hello, little man. You're a scratchy guy today. Do you want to say something to Herman and Corn, the podcast? So that was Ezra with his usual. He was talking about the news, actually, giving some very incisive commentary on the Iran issue. But we chat whenever I'm minding him for a few hours because Hannah's out with a client, and so I'm on babysitting duty. Hello, little guy. Yeah, and I guess I'm never too sure what I'm supposed to be doing. I mean, I have my list. He needs to sleep. And it gives me documentation. She knows how I work. I feed him, the nappy changes, diapers for those in the US. He's currently enjoying eating my hand. He's moved on to my hand now. But besides that, Ezra makes funny sounds. I make funny sounds back to him. Sometimes I record songs that I make in Suno. I make my own baby music for Ezra. I record these prompts. I listen to these podcast episodes while we're just kind of chilling out. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I haven't yet done the baby wearing while I'm working with him thing. That's more what Hannah does. So it's more when I have him, I'm like taking, I'm not working because I don't know, at the moment he needs a lot of attention. Ezra is 7 months old. And it's basically like this. He's fussing, pacifier, check the feeding thing, go back to the first stage. And that's all I do. Now, Ezra can't really speak yet, besides these delightful noises. So my only concern is, am I supposed to be doing something else? And my big worry, and yes, I'm a worrier, is what if he's really bored, but he can't tell me? He's no way to tell me that. And I always wonder, am I not doing enough? What do you say, Herman and Corn? What's the protocol? What should I be doing? Oh, Hannah's back. Say hello. And I'd love to get your tips.
Did you hear that, Herman? That was little Ezra in the background, making his presence known. It sounds like Daniel is having quite the afternoon over there in the living room while Hannah is out.
I certainly did. Herman Poppleberry here, and I have to say, Ezra's vocalizations are getting incredibly complex. Did you hear those consonant sounds? He is right on the edge of some major linguistic breakthroughs. But I can hear the anxiety in Daniel's voice, can't you? It is that classic caregiver guilt. The feeling that if you aren't actively performing a one-man circus act, you're somehow failing the child.
It is a real thing. Daniel is a great housemate and a great friend, but he is definitely overthinking the boredom factor. He's following the routine, feeding, diapers, naps, but he's worried that in the quiet moments, Ezra is just staring at the ceiling thinking, man, this guy is dull.
Which is hilarious because, to a 7-month-old, a ceiling fan is basically the most high-octane action movie ever made. But I think this is a perfect topic for us to dive into today. We are at episode 4088 of My Weird Prompts, and we've touched on infant development before. Remember episode 378 when we talked about the 6-month milestone? Well, Ezra is 7 months now, and that 1 month makes a world of difference in terms of what's going on under the hood.
It really does. So, let's tackle Daniel's primary fear first. Is it even possible for a 7-month-old to be bored in the way we understand it? When we feel bored, it's usually a lack of meaningful stimuli or a sense of repetitive stagnation. But for Ezra, isn't everything meaningful stimuli?
That is exactly the point. We have to look at the neurological state of a 7-month-old. At this age, the brain is in a state of hyperplasticity. They are forming over 1 million new neural connections every single second. To us, sitting on a rug and looking at a wooden block is boring because we've mastered the concept of a wooden block. We know its weight, its texture, its taste, hopefully not from personal experience lately, and its physical properties. To Ezra, that block is a multidimensional mystery. He's exploring gravity when he drops it, he's exploring tactile feedback when he scratches it, and he's exploring object permanence when Daniel hides it under a blanket.
So, the boredom Daniel perceives might actually just be processing time. I've noticed this while I watch them together. Ezra will just go quiet and stare at something for 3 minutes straight. Daniel starts to panic and thinks he needs to rattle a toy or start singing, but maybe Ezra is just busy?
He is incredibly busy. That's a great observation, Corn. There's a concept in developmental psychology often called active passive time or quiet alertness. This is the golden window for learning. When a baby is quiet and focused, their brain is doing the heavy lifting. If you interrupt that with a loud, "Hey Ezra, look at this," you're actually breaking his concentration. You're disrupting his flow state.
A 7-month-old flow state. I love that. So, in a way, Daniel's worry that he isn't doing enough might lead him to do too much. Is overstimulation a bigger risk than boredom at this age?
Absolutely. Think of it like a buffer on a video stream. The baby is taking in data, light, sound, texture, social cues. If you pour too much data in too fast, the buffer overflows and the system crashes. That's when you get the fussiness, the arching of the back, the looking away. If Ezra is looking away from Daniel, he isn't bored. He's likely saying, "I need a break from your face, buddy. My brain is full."
I remember we talked about this a bit in episode 394 regarding the daycare dilemma, that balance of socialization versus rest. But for a solo babysitter like Daniel, what is the actual protocol? If the circus act isn't the goal, what should he be doing during those awake hours between the naps and the bottles?
The gold standard for interaction at this age is something called serve and return. It's a term coined by the Center on the Developing Child at Harvard University. Think of it like a game of tennis, but with emotions and sounds instead of a ball.
Okay, break that down for me. What does a serve look like from a 7-month-old?
A serve is anything Ezra does to initiate contact. It could be a babble, a reach, a specific look, or even that scratching Daniel mentioned in his prompt. When Ezra scratches Daniel's hand, that's a serve. He's saying, "I'm noticing this texture and I'm noticing you. What do you think?" The return is Daniel acknowledging it. He doesn't need to do a dance. He just needs to say, "Oh, you're scratching my hand. That feels kind of ticklish, doesn't it?"
So it's about validation and mirroring. It's not about leading the play. It's about following his lead. This moves the bar from entertainer to responsive partner. But let's get into the specifics of the 7-month mark. In episode 228, we talked about baby-proofing because Ezra was starting to move. Now that he's 7 months, his motor skills are likely exploding. Daniel mentioned he's bouncy. What should Daniel be encouraging physically?
This is where the floor time protocol comes in. At 7 months, most babies are working on 3 big things: sitting up unassisted, rolling in both directions, and the pre-crawl phase. If Daniel wants to do enough, the best thing he can do is put Ezra on a safe patch of floor and stay nearby. In Jerusalem, with our stone floors, that means a good, thick play mat or a rug with a non-slip pad.
Just let him be on the floor? That feels almost too simple.
It is simple, but it's vital. On the floor, Ezra has to use his core muscles to stay upright. If he's always in a container like a bouncer or a swing, he isn't getting that resistance training. Daniel can facilitate this by placing toys just slightly out of reach. Not so far that Ezra gets discouraged, but far enough that he has to pivot. That's how you build the motivation for crawling.
I've seen Daniel do that. He puts that little rubber giraffe about 6 inches away, and Ezra does this hilarious swimming motion on his stomach. But then Ezra gets frustrated, and Daniel picks him up immediately. Is that the right move?
A little bit of frustration is actually okay. It's called optimal frustration. If you solve every problem for the baby instantly, they never learn that they have the agency to solve it themselves. Now, obviously, if he's screaming, pick him up. But if he's just grunting, let him work for it for a minute.
What about the scratching? Daniel mentioned Ezra was scratching him with great force. Is that a developmental thing?
It's huge. It's the transition from the palmar grasp, using the whole hand, to the pincer grasp, which uses the thumb and forefinger. At 7 months, they are becoming obsessed with small details. Scratching is a way of exploring texture and testing grip strength. Daniel should actually lean into this using the theory of loose parts.
Loose parts? That sounds like something from a hardware store.
It's a concept from architect Simon Nicholson. He argued that the degree of creativity in an environment is proportional to the number of variables in it. A plastic toy that only plays one song has one variable. A wooden spoon, a silk scarf, or a metal whisk has infinite variables. They have different weights, temperatures, and sounds. Daniel's protocol could involve just bringing Ezra into the kitchen and letting him explore a safe drawer while Daniel narrates what he's doing. "I'm making coffee, Ezra. This is a mug. It's heavy."
Narrating the day is powerful. You might feel like a crazy person talking to someone who can't talk back, but you are flooding his brain with language. Now, Daniel mentioned he records songs in Suno, that AI music generator, and makes baby music for Ezra. He also listens to our podcast while they're hanging out. Is that okay?
It's actually great. AI music tools like Suno have made personalized parenting so much easier. If the song has Ezra's name in it, that's high-value social signaling. As for the podcast, hearing the cadence of two people having a calm, engaged conversation is soothing. It's far better than the frantic, high-pitched audio of many children's shows.
I want to go deeper on the second-order effects of this. We talked about the immediate benefits, but what does this look like 20 years down the line? If a child grows up with this kind of serve-and-return interaction, how does it change them as an adult?
The longitudinal research, like the high-scope Perry Preschool Project, is incredible. They followed children into their 40s. Those who had high-quality, responsive engagement in infancy had higher graduation rates and even better heart health in their 40s.
Heart health? How does talking to a baby affect their heart 40 years later?
It's the stress response system. When a baby has a secure base, someone who responds to their needs, their body learns how to turn off the stress response. They don't stay in a state of high cortisol. Chronic high cortisol in childhood can weather the cardiovascular system over decades. By responding to Ezra's babbles now, Daniel is literally helping build a more resilient physical body for Ezra's future. It's the operating system for the rest of his life.
That really puts the babysitting routine in a different light. It's not just passing time, it's building a human. One last practical thing, Herman. The nap protocol. Daniel said he follows the routine, but he's worried Ezra is bored while awake. At 7 months, isn't that when the nap progression hits?
You're right. The 7-month transition is legendary. It's usually when they move from 3 naps down to 2. If Daniel is trying to force a 3rd nap and Ezra is fighting it, that might be where the frustration is coming from. At 7 months, a wake window is usually around 2.5 to 3.5 hours. If Daniel is trying to put him down too early, Ezra is going to be bouncy because he's simply not tired.
It's all about the data, observing the baby, and adjusting the system. So, to recap the Daniel protocol: 1. Don't fear the quiet moments. 2. Practice serve and return. 3. Maximize floor time. 4. Use loose parts like kitchen tools for sensory exploration. 5. Narrate your life. And 6. Check those wake windows.
And remember, the wooden spoon is your best friend.
I think Daniel is going to feel a lot better. If you're listening and have your own weird prompts about parenting or science, we'd love to hear from you. We've been doing this for 488 episodes because of your questions.
You can find all our past episodes, including our deep dives into infant milestones, at myweirdprompts.com.
Thanks for listening. I'm Corn.
And I'm Herman Poppleberry. Stay curious, everyone.
See you next time.
Goodbye.
This episode was generated using Gemini Flash 3. Text-to-speech engine was Chatterbox Turbo.
Thanks for listening to another episode of My Weird Prompts, an AI-generated podcast featuring Daniel Rosehill's AI prompts, as answered by a revolving cast of friendly AI characters including me, Cornelius the Sloth. Subscribe on Spotify or visit myweirdprompts.com.